If you've ever used a grease gun before, you know it can be a pretty frustrating and messy experience. Now, of course, if the gun is fully loaded, the tool is easy to use, but unfortunately, eventually, you're going to run out of grease and need to reload it. And the bigger problem is you're supposed to use different types of greases for different jobs. A drive shaft, say on a lawnmower, could require a molybdenum grease, but if you're doing something like a bearing, you need to use a higher speed grease or something rated for extreme pressure. One option is to buy multiple grease guns like I have always done in the past. I keep them in this container because they continually leak. The first grease gun was invented in 1916, and for the most part, it has not changed in over 100 years, and it really was due for an update. And while this certainly isn't the Cybertruck, it is called the Lube Shuttle, and this grease gun is by far the smartest and most advanced grease gun I have ever used. They completely remove that plunger system. Nothing to push or pull, no grease leaks, no oil coming out. Instead, you just simply take the tube of grease, screw the tube into the gun, and you're done. This is the manual version of the gun. They also offer a battery-powered cordless version, and the end fitting is the same as a normal standard grease gun, meaning you can use your lock and lube fitting. This company manufactures over 20 different greases. They sent me a sampling of the different ones they have, and they should cover everything you want, from moly, marine greases, high-speed ones, and just general purpose versions as well. Now, that is what makes this system work. These are unique proprietary grease tubes, but some of you diehards might be saying, no way, I don't want to get locked into a system. Well, first off, it is just a grease gun, a single tool, so unless you're going to buy 1,000 tubes of this grease, you're not really getting locked into anything. But you also want to be concerned with cost, and that was the good news. If you price these tubes of grease from this company, they're actually less expensive than many of the tubes of grease I was already buying. And this manual grease gun cost about $20 more than a professional version, something like a Lincoln or a good quality gun, but you're certainly going to get a much better experience with the easy loading cartridges. The snowblower requires two different types. You're going to use one containing moly for the drive shaft for the impeller itself, but additionally this thing has bearings on the end that require a high-speed extreme pressure grease. So with this Lube Shuttle, all I've got to do is remove the cartridge and I can switch greases in just a few seconds. Once I unscrew the old type of grease, put in the new one, you do of course want to be aware that the old grease is still in the hose, so you will have to pump some of that out, and you are certainly wasting grease. But you have to decide, is it worth you buying two different grease guns, or if you're a home user, just using a system like this where you can switch them in just a few seconds. You don't seem to get air in the lines. The only trick they told me was before you load one of these tubes, they recommend giving a small push on the end of the tube, and that will press just a little bit of grease out of the end. That will prime the gun and should ensure easy loading every single time. I've used at least a dozen old grease guns, and every one of them has always leaked out oil. I don't know if it's because synthetic greases have more oil in them. This one is different. It must be because the manufacturer makes both the tube and the sealing plunger that they just don't leak. I left it upright, kept it on my bench, and no oil came out of the gun at all. Being able to switch the types of grease is handy, but the number one reason to get this thing is it is just simple and clean to use. You can load grease anytime you want. It takes just seconds. This product definitely delivered exactly what they advertise, and I found the gun to be excellent quality, and I would have no hesitations endorsing this thing, especially now that I've used it over 6 months. And while I know the purists out there are saying there's no way I'd ever get one of these modern grease guns, if you purchase one of these and use it for just a few minutes, you will never go back to your old leaky gun again. And I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already for more videos coming up.